Okay, so I just got done playing Crash Team Rumble for the first few weeks, and I think we need to talk, cause guys, this was rough to take in. Never before have I been this conflicted with a multiplayer game in my life, never mind a Crash game in general, but somehow this game found a way. I had to sit down and reflect on how I feel towards the game now, seeing the current state it is, and knowing what's to come our way. And being upfront about it, I'm torn to hell and back on how to even approach something like this. If I say anything bad about it, I'll earn the wrath of all the diehard fanboys and apologists defending every aspect of this game as if it were flawless. Meanwhile, if I say anything good about it, I'll only turn away people who were against this game to begin with, because I know firsthand that not everybody was sold on this game right out the gate. I have a lot I need to get out there, both good and bad, so at least hear me out before you draw any conclusions out there. This is my personal look at Crash Team Rumble as it is now. For those who aren't up to speed, back in April, a closed beta was launched for those who pre-ordered the game. It got the job done, gave us a good idea as to what we should expect going into this. It ran for a couple days, gave us 5 characters to play with, being the entire cast of Crash 4 for the record, as well as 3 stages to play on. The battle pass I couldn't even finish. I was exhausted by the last day, as competitive online can only keep my interest for so long. But I still made the best of it, having a bunch of good people to play this with. It wasn't a lot, but in the same breath, I was hoping the final game would feel like it was gonna offer so much more. Fast forward to launch day, and what's really changed since the beta? Well, for one, we have a selection of 8 characters to choose from. Embryo and Entropy are fully playable, as well as the newly introduced Cat Bat. Along with the 3 stages from the beta, we also have an additional 6 to play around with. Some of these are okay, some I actually like playing on, while others are just there, nothing to write home about. The gameplay is still as fun and addicting as I remember it, the objective being to score the most Wumpa before the opposing team, touching gem pads to boost your Wumpa count, collecting relics and dropping them off at these stations for special hazards, and having an assortment of power-ups and weapons to help you even the odds. I always go with Gazmoxian Guard for the record. The online is as stable as it gets, though there are times where my game still stutters, leaving me glitching all over the place, and others were quick to report all sorts of bugs and issues found during the first couple days. Needless to say, it is not without its faults, and I'm hoping all this gets patched up efficiently sooner than later. As with the beta, you can level up and customize your characters as you play, whereas in the beta, characters only go up to level 6, this time it's up to 15, and by the time you pass level 10, that's where the grind really kicks in. Each character has their own set of challenges, some being straightforward like boosting the most, winning as that character, or collecting the most Wumpa, and others being more unique, like body slamming 2 enemies in one go as Crash, turning people into animals as Cortex, or blocking off 2 people with a single wall as Coco. Some of these are actually easy, like Tawna Speedy Scorer. Things like Dingodile spinning off enemies in a bank, or pouncing from sky high with Cat Bat might require some more work. And then there's doing the impossible, looking directly at you, Entropy. On the topic, the characters themselves hold up just as well as they did in the beta. Coco is still my favorite for her top speed and mobility. Tawna still packs a punch and is hands down my top scorer over Crash and Cat Bat. Cortex feels just as busted as he was in the beta, and hilariously, I find he's the one character I feel the most comfortable playing dirty with, even more than any of the blockers we currently have. Having given Crash a lot more time to shine this time around, he's surprisingly a lot more versatile than I was expecting, which counts for a lot. The slide and spin combos were gracefully like a charm, and while he still has this flutter jump, it actually deals damage now. I didn't even think this was worth a damn back in the beta, so this is a pretty nice change. Unfortunately, Crash is one of my worst characters to play combat with, especially if all I'm really gonna do is spin and body slam, and I've seen many Crash players do this a lot. It's real annoying to put it lightly. Speaking of blockers, Dingodile is 50-50. Actually, playing as him is okay enough, one of the easiest characters to actually score with, and when someone's confronting you, it does feel good to dish out some pain. Unless you happen to see Dingodile on the opposing team, as 9 times out of 10, I'm always facing these dirty Dingo players spinning into me every chance they get. It frustrates me just as much as it did in the beta, perhaps even more so now. And then there's Embryo. The transformation is pretty cool, I'll give credit where it's due, though he's so boring to play as in general. Though much like Dingodile, I've seen so many Brio players on the enemy team that he's become more of an obnoxious pain in the ass than an actual headache like Dingo is. The only real way to take him on is if he's standing still, so be sure to take advantage of that just before he's about to transform. Entropy, by contrast, actually feels like a force to be reckoned with. I've had people telling me she's all kinds of powerful, and yeah, I honestly see it. Once you know how this character works, she can be a major powerhouse, and rightfully so. Ironically enough, she's the one I had the least amount of trouble with. After a while, I've learned to read her gravity dives so I can get out of the way before they even have a chance to strike. Lastly, there's Catbat. Not my ideal pick, but their playstyle hold up alright. What they lack in mobility and speed compared to Tawna or Coco, they make up for with their vertical height. They have this quad jump that gets you to even higher places with ease. Best part is that you can actually use this to strike at enemies from that high. I especially love using this with the bounce crate, as it always resets your jumps at will. It's so busted, but you can't help but laugh just seeing it in action. Oh boy, I expect this to get patched. Going into the stages, they look lively and presentable, making good use of Crash Forest assets to make sizable battle arenas. Weird thing is, they seem to have 2 maps per theme by the look of it. We got Serenity Gardens and Surreal Summit, both taking place in Tranquility Falls. Calamity Canyon and Rusted Refinery are both set in Hazardous Wastes. And if we want to get technical, I guess just Beachy and Tiki Towers take place in Insanity Island, but who's really to say? Point being, the stages are okay, though there's not a lot to look at. Hoping this gets fixed in the future. More than anything else, we need to talk about the elephant in the room. Nope, not that one. The Battle Pass. For starters, this first premium season is free for all users, and for people who pre-order the game, you get to skip 25 levels completely, starting you off at 26. Whereas in the beta, the max cap is 40, this time you're going up to level 100. And if you intend to unlock everything this season has to offer, you're gonna have to put in a lot of work to grind up to 100. Times like this, I am so lucky to have pre-ordered, otherwise this would have been a major time investment. And I can imagine it will be to the wrong person. I can only hope you manage to finish all this in 3 months, which even then doesn't really feel impossible. So many people were able to max out in the Battle Pass so quickly, whereas it took me over a week to even get there. I imagine by next season I won't be as lucky, as I'll have no such benefits by then. Either way, it's through this Battle Pass where this game's exhausting grind is really highlighted. Thankfully, I have a much better understanding of how experience works, as it basically boils down to how many badges you have and whether or not you're on a winning team. So you really want to rack up those wins as much as possible. Otherwise, my opinion on gaining XP hasn't really changed since the beta. At the very least, I can say the Battle Pass experience is consistent, going up to the same amount before moving to the next tier. The same cannot be said for leveling up characters, which really confuses me the more I think about it. You'd think it'd be the other way around, as most games using this system would normally do, but I digress. Coming back to online, it does work, and works well. But all these glitches aside, games of this nature really tend to shed reality to the fact that online gaming is not really fit for players like me. I don't personally find enjoyment in walking into a lobby only to get my ass handed to me by someone playing dirty or lobbing me up to earn those points of theirs. It's something I've always been through time and again, having experienced this through games like ARMS and Splatoon in its heyday, and even when I was gathering footage for my monthly Grand Prix videos. Some online lobbies saw their fair share of brutes as well, but that's beside the point. Games like this I only ever play when I have friends around or when I know people are raring to join with me. And with the knowledge that Crash Team Rumble is strictly online oriented, that's all the mileage I'm ever gonna get from this game. In its current state, there's not really anything new to see here. This is basically doing the same shit we've been doing since the closed beta. I can forgive having such limited content to work with if the variety is there at least. If I have more stuff to do with my time beyond what the game expects from us. But as it is, there is nothing here. No real game modes, you can only practice with bots, learn how to play the game, hop into online matchmaking, and that's it. Competitive matchmaking seems to be the only real deal maker here, as just like with the beta, you can only gain experience through this one mode and nothing else. You gain nothing from private lobbies, which I still don't understand the reason behind, and this being the first season, it kinda stings that everything they've promoted is virtually nowhere to be found. Where's Ripperoo and Engine? Where's the Bogged Down map? What the hell happened to those skins they've been teasing in the trading cards? And is there any justifiable reason as to why certain skins were removed from launch despite clearly being in the beta? Even more of a slap in the face is that in the case of Warped Biker Coco, playing with bots seeing that this skin is still clearly accessible. So computer players can use this skin, but we as actual players can't? The lack of transparency regarding what the hell is even going on is going to effectively hurt this game in the long run, which is a huge shame because I actually like playing it. The game at its core is fun and engaging. I said this in a Discord call with Laggy Modem a few days back, and this exchange we had says it all.
Like, here's the thing though, the core game is good, and that's like, I think the the main thing that sells it. The only problem is everything around it has to be good too, and if it's not, that's going to be the killer.
Exactly what I'm saying. There is good to be found in this game. To me at least, there is just no overlooking the game's business practices, which is going to be a tough hurdle to scout through if this is what the game is presenting itself to be. Actually, hold up. Literally, as I'm writing this, they came out with a roadmap giving us all the details as to what to expect from Season 1. I mean, better late than never, I guess? But actually looking at this indicates the idea is to hand this stuff out in small doses for a limited time, with some content being mainstays later on. Ripperoo is practically in our clutches for those who are all for early access. A new map is going to be handed to us later in the month. This limited time mode is going to be appearing in small doses. I definitely don't know how to feel about that. And it's going to be a long time before we ever see Engine in this game. So now that I've actually finished this battle pass and seen Crash Team Rumble for what it is, all I can really do now is wait it out and determine what's actually worth going for. New characters on the way? Certainly. I'll definitely see what the new maps are like. I at least want to see what this Zap Trap mode is like, because this is a game that's in dire need of actual variety, and I do hope it becomes a mainstay for this reason. People I've expressed this to told me that if it's received well enough, it might, but as I've been saying to this game for the last few months, actions speak louder than words. The game is already data mined with certain modes and characters that, if they follow through with it, will convince me to want to stick around for a while longer. But as it is, consider this a hiatus till the next season. In closing, I hope to make it understood that I do not hate Crash Team Rumble. Far from the case. The core gameplay is good, and I can see this being a fun time with friends. As it is though, there is not really a whole lot going on to make me want to go out of my way to put this on a much higher pedestal than people are already making it out to be. I cannot in good conscience recommend this to people unless you are either a diehard fan of Crash Bandicoot or online multiplayer in general. Maybe in the coming months and the new features come around, I'll be singing a slightly different tune. But for now, all I can really do is sit back and watch what happens. It's the only thing I can do for games of this nature. Thank you all so much for listening. This is Miss Dan signing out, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out and have a good one.